Welcome to the lecture of quantum mechanics. In this lecture, I will discuss about the wave nature of matter and the need for a wave function. This topic will be discussed from the book of M.C. Jain, a textbook of undergraduate quantum mechanics by M.C. Jain. So, what we will discuss in this topic, we will discuss about de Broglie's hypothesis, experimental verification of de Broglie's hypothesis. So, what is de Broglie's hypothesis? In our higher secondary classes, we already know about photoelectric effect, Compton effect, Planck's theory of radiation. So, from those ideas, we can say that radiation has dual nature. It means that sometimes it will act as a wave and sometimes it behaves as a particle. In 1924, Louis de Broglie extended this wave-particle duality to material particles like electrons, neutrons, etc. Now we know that nature has two entities, matter and radiation. Therefore, if radiation has particle-like properties, then material particles such as electron, proton, neutron, they should possess the wave-like properties. Now, we know the famous relation, that is E equals to h nu. Now, what is E? E is the energy. What is h? H is the Planck's constant. And what is nu? Nu is the frequency of radiation. Now, we also know that momentum P equal to E by C. Again, E equal to h nu by C. So, we can say that P equals to h nu by C. Now, you should have a question in mind, that is how we can write P equals to E by C. Actually, this comes from the theory of relativity. In theory of relativity, there is a relation E square equal to P square C square plus m0 square C to the power 4, or E square equal to Pc to the power 2 plus m0 C square to the power 2. For photon, the rest mass m0 is 0. Therefore, this second term vanishes and E square equal to P square C square. So, for photon, we can write E equal to Pc. That is why P equal to E by C for photon. So, if P equal to h nu by C, the same relation in terms of wavelength can be written as P equal to h by lambda, because C equal to nu lambda. So, from P equal to h nu by C, we can write P is equal to h by lambda. Now, the same equation can be established in some different manner also. Again, E equal to h nu or h cut omega. Why h cut omega? H cut means h by 2 pi. So, nu by 2 pi is equal to omega. So, E equal to h nu or h cut omega. Now, energy and the momentum P of a particle form the components of a single 4 vector. The concept of 4 vector has been discussed in special theory of relativity. So, from that concept, we can say that energy and momentum of a particle form the components of a single 4 vector. And so do the angular frequency omega and the propagation vector k of the wave. Since the components of both the 4 vectors have to transform in an identical manner according to the Lorentz transformation for a given change of reference frame, any proportionality relation, that is E equal to h nu, such type of proportionality relation between E and omega must necessarily hold also between P and K. It was concluded therefore that P equal to h cut k. That is, as E equal to h cut omega, similarly P can be written as P equal to h cut k. So P equal to h cut k. So hk by 2 pi. So that can be written as h by lambda, or lambda is equal to h by P. So this relation, that is lambda is equal to h by P, de Broglie proposed this relation, which is applied to material particles as well as for photons. Thus, de Broglie postulated that with every material particle, a wave is associated. And what is the wavelength of this wave? The wavelength of this wave is lambda equal to h by P. So this is known as the de Broglie wavelength. So for a particle of mass m which is moving with a speed v, so this relation becomes lambda is equal to h by mv. Now the particle may be relativistic also. So if we consider the relativistic effect, then this m should be written as m equal to m0 root over of 1 minus v square by c square, if you consider the relativistic effect. So this is called the de Broglie's hypothesis, and lambda is called the de Broglie's wavelength. This associated wave is called the matter wave, or de Broglie wave, or pilot wave. De Broglie attempted to explain the stationary Bohr orbits by fitting a standing wave around the circumference of an orbit. So this circle is a particular orbit, that is n equal to 4 Bohr orbit. This circle, de Broglie tried to fit the orbit with a standing wave. So it requires that circumference of the orbit is 2 pi r. So 2 pi r should be n into lambda, n times of the wavelength. Now there is a Bohr postulate, that is mvr equal to nh by 2 pi. So combining these two equations, we can write n lambda is equal to 2 pi into nh by 2 pi mv, or lambda equal to h by mv. So this is again the de Broglie's wavelength. Lambda is equal to h by mv. This is again the de Broglie's wavelength. Now de Broglie's wavelength can be expressed in different manner. For example, it can be expressed in terms of kinetic energy. Kinetic energy k equal to p square by 2m. So we can write p is equal to root 2mk. And as lambda is equal to h by p, so lambda is equal to h by root over of 2mk. Similarly, de Broglie's wavelength can also be expressed in terms of accelerating potential. If a particle of mass small m and charge small q is accelerated through a potential difference v, then we can write that kinetic energy k is equal to small q into v. Q is the charge and v is the potential difference. So again, lambda can be written as lambda is equal to h by root over of 2mk, but here k is q into v, so lambda is equal to h by root over of 2mq into v. Now for an electron, if you consider an electron and put all the values of h, value of the electron mass small m, electron charge small q, so this expression will ultimately yield that lambda is equal to 12.3 by root over of v in angstrom. And this expression will be used when wavelength will be used in meter. And if you wish to express wavelength in angstrom, then lambda will be 12.3 by root over of v in angstrom. If we consider the relativistic effect, then this equation you all know that E square equal to P square C square plus M0 square C to the power 4. From this expression, you can evaluate the value of small p, and after some simplification, small p is this one. So if you substitute this expression in the equation of lambda is equal to h by p, then we will obtain such types of equation. And in terms of accelerating potential, this lambda can be expressed by this equation. So de Broglie's equation can be expressed in different manner. Now I will discuss one important problem. The problem is that find the de Broglie wavelength of electrons accelerated through a potential difference of 100 volt. We already discussed that when electrons will be accelerated through a potential difference V, then the expression of the de Broglie wavelength will be given by lambda is equal to 12.3 by root over of V in angstrom. If V is 100 volt, then lambda will be 1.23 angstrom. There are some other problems also. I will request the viewers to undergo these problems from the book of M.C. Jain. Now, I will discuss about the experimental verification of de Broglie's hypothesis. So, from the previous problem that we already discussed, we found that de Broglie wavelength of electrons accelerated through a potential difference of 100 volt is 1.23 angstrom. So, this is the order of the distance between the atomic planes in the crystal. I am again repeating that this order, that is 1.23 angstrom, is almost same as the distance between the atomic planes in the crystals. So if you treat electrons as a wave, then the associated wavelength will be 1.23 angstrom. This fact suggests that the existence of matter waves may be demonstrated by using crystals as diffraction gratings for electrons in a manner similar to X-ray diffraction by crystals. Now, what is X-ray? X-ray is an electromagnetic radiation. What is X-ray diffraction? If the electromagnetic wave, that is X-ray, falls on the crystal, then we see some diffraction pattern. Why we see some diffraction pattern? Because the order of the wavelength of the X-ray is almost same as the atomic planes of the crystal. These atomic planes acts as the diffraction grating. We know that what is the condition of diffraction? The condition of the diffraction is that the dimension of the slit should be of the order of the wavelength. So here, if you consider the atomic planes as the diffraction grating, then the distance between the atomic planes, that is of the order of angstrom order, and the wavelength of the X-ray is also in the angstrom order. So we observe diffraction of the X radiation when the X radiation falls on the crystals. In a similar manner, if you consider electrons as waves, then the dimension of the waves will be in the angstrom order, that is 1.23 angstrom if the potential difference is 100 volt. So if we consider electrons as waves, and waves are matter waves whose dimension is of the order of angstrom, that is 1.23 angstrom. So if these matter waves falls on a crystal, then it should show the similar types of diffraction phenomena. and such experiments were performed in 1927 by Davison and Jarmar, and later independently by G.P. Thomson. Now, these two experiments will be discussed. So, the first experiment is Davison-Jarmar experiment. This is the experimental setup. This is the electron gun. Electron gun means from this electron gun, high energy electrons will be emitted and electrons will be accelerated through a potential difference V. This will be accelerated from a potential difference V and will be directed normally to the surface of a nickel crystal. This incident beam will be directed on the nickel crystal normally. So when the incident beam falls on the nickel crystal, it will be reflected. So there will be a reflected beam at some angle phi from the incident beam. This is the angle phi. This one is the angle phi. The intensity of the scattered electrons was measured as a function of the latitude angle phi from the axis of the incident beam for different accelerating potential. Now we will obtain a graph. We will obtain a graph for the variation of the intensity phi. So how the graph look like? This is the graph. This is the variation of the intensity as a function of the angle phi. This is called a polar plot. Polar plot of the intensity as a function of the scattering angle for 54 electron volt electrons. If the accelerating potential is 54 volt, then we will obtain such type of intensity pattern. Here intensity, it should be noted that intensity is given by the distance of the point from the origin. So how we will measure the intensity? Intensity is given by the distance of the point from the origin. So if the distance from the origin increases, it means that intensity is high. If the distance of the point from the origin decreases, then it means that intensity is low. It is seen that as phi increases from 0, the intensity at first decreases and passes through a minimum at about 35 degree. So let us see that intensity, if you look at this point, so value of the intensity is minimum or very low. So this angle, if you draw a line, so this line will correspond to phi equal to almost 35 degree. So if we draw a line, let us draw a line. So if you draw a line in this manner, so this angle will be almost 35 degree for the minimum intensity. Thereafter, intensity step by step increases, and at this point intensity is maximum. At this point means at the angle phi equal to 50 degree, intensity becomes maximum. So then it rises to a peak value at 50 degree. The occurrence of this peak can be explained as being to the constructive interference of the electron waves reflected from some particular set of Bragg planes in the crystal lattice, as in the case of X-rays. We know that in case of X-ray also, why we obtain some particular peak? Because of the constructive interference of the waves reflected from some particular set of Bragg planes. Similarly, for matter waves also, we are obtaining this peak, that is peak at the angle phi equal to 50 degree, because of the constructive interference of the electron waves reflected from some particular set of Bragg planes in the crystal lattice. So let us discuss this fact from this figure. These small dots are actually atoms in the crystal, and they are separated by a distance capital D. So capital D is the distance between the atoms, and these straight lines are denoting a particular set of planes. They are a particular set of planes in the crystal. And what is the distance between the between this between this set of planes? This is the perpendicular distance. This is the perpendicular distance between the atomic planes, and this perpendicular distance is the small d. This perpendicular distance is the small d. Small d is the spacing between the adjacent Bragg planes. So the Bragg condition for constructive interference is n lambda is equal to 2d sine theta. This is the condition for the constructive interference. This is condition for the constructive interference. So d is the spacing between the adjacent Bragg planes, and what is n? N is an integer, and it is the order of the interference. And what is theta? Theta is the angle. This one is theta. This one is theta. So what is theta? Theta is the angle between the incident beam. This one is the incident beam. So this is the angle between the incident beam and the crystal planes. So theta is the angle between the crystal plane and the incident beam. Now it is clearly observed that this angle is theta, this angle is phi, and again the angle between this reflected beam and this crystal planes will be again theta. So theta plus phi plus theta equal to 180 degree from the geometry. So theta equal to 180 degree minus phi by 2 or 90 minus phi by 2. So from geometry, and from this geometry, that is if this one is the, again I am showing you that if this is the distance between the atom, that is capital T, and if this line is the distance between the atomic planes, that is small d, and if this angle is phi by 2, so from the geometry we can write that small d is equal to capital D, small d is equal to capital D sine phi by 2. From the geometry we can say that small d equal to capital D sine phi by 2. Now from this relation, that is n lambda equal to 2d sine theta, from this relation we can write n lambda is equal to 2d into sine theta, that is sine phi by 2, sine 90 minus phi by 2. So n lambda is equal to ultimately d sine phi. Now for nickel, capital D is equal to 2.15 angstrom. Assuming that the peak at phi equal to 50 degree correspond to first order diffraction, and we take n equal to 1. Therefore, from this relation, that is n lambda equal to d sine phi, we obtain that is lambda equal to 2.15 into sine 50 degree, that is 1.65 angstrom. Now, according to de Broglie's hypothesis, we have for electrons accelerated through a potential difference V, which we already discussed, that is value of lambda will be 12.3 divided by root over of V in angstrom. So if value of V is 54, then lambda will be 1.66 angstrom. So this value is almost to the value obtained from the Bragg's condition. This experiment was performed at various electron energies. The experiment which we have discussed was for 54 volt, but actually this experiment was performed at various values of the electron energies, and in each case the value of the wavelength obtained matched to the wavelength from the de Broglie's hypothesis. Now I will discuss another experiment, that is G.P. Thomson's experiment. In this experiment, a beam of highly accelerated electrons was directed towards a thin foil of some polycrystalline material. This is the incident electron beam and this is the thin foil of polycrystalline material. So after passing through the thin foil, here thin foil will also act as the grating. So after passing through the foil, the electrons were received on a photographic plate. It was found that a diffraction pattern consisting of a series of concentric rings is formed on the plate. This pattern was similar to device error X-ray diffraction pattern, confirming the wave nature of the electrons. So from the experiment of Davison-Janmar and G.P. Thomson, so what is established, that is electrons will also show the wave nature, and this wave we will call as matter waves. Thomson obtained the wavelength of the electrons from the de Broglie formula and then calculated the spacing d between atomic planes using Bragg equation. It was found that the value of d is same as that obtained from X-ray experiments. Subsequently, various experiments were performed to obtain diffraction pattern for neutrons and some atoms and molecules, showing the universality of matter waves and the de Broglie formula. De Broglie was awarded the 1929 Nobel Prize in Physics, and Davison and Thomson shared the 1937 Nobel Prize. It should be noted that G.P. Thomson, the experiment of Thomson, which I have already discussed, G.P. Thomson was the son of J.J. Thomson. It is interesting to note that J.J. Thomson was given the Nobel Prize in 1906 for showing that the electron has particle nature, while G.P. Thomson was given the same prize for showing that the electron has a wave nature. So I am this is the end of my lecture, and I will request the viewers to discuss the various problems which is given in this book, that is the book of M.C. Jain. Thank you all for listening.